Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are cracking open an absolute masterclass on the timeless, and I mean literally timeless wisdom of human relations. We're going to unpack the fundamental techniques for handling people, pulling directly from the legendary playbook of Dale Carnegie. You know, if you've ever sat there and wondered why some people just effortlessly command a room, or how they diffuse tense conflicts with a smile, or inspire absolute unwavering loyalty, well, you are exactly in the right place. We're going to break down the core psychology of how we all interact, and more importantly, how every single one of us can do it so much better.
To really get why this matters, just consider this sheer, incredible legacy of this framework. We are talking about a guide that has been in print for over 70 years. It's sold tens of millions of copies worldwide and has been translated into basically every known written language. Originally published way back in 1937, its explosive success actually shocked both the author and the publishers. This is, without a doubt, the original foundational playbook for human relations. It's not some passing internet fad, right? It's a profound dive into human nature that every single generation discovers all over again. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start by laying out the human relations playbook, and then we're going to explore three core principles: putting down the beehive, the big secret of appreciation, and arousing an eager want. Then, to wrap it all up, we'll give you three highly practical applications you can use every single day. Section 1, the human relations playbook. So, to truly master human interaction, we've got to completely reset our expectations of how people actually operate. We so often walk into conversations, negotiations, or even arguments, assuming that if we just present the right facts, the other person will logically agree with us. But Dale Carnegie completely flips that assumption on its head. He says, when dealing with people, let us remember we are not dealing with creatures of logic. We are dealing with creatures of emotion. And the text goes even further, reminding us that we're dealing with creatures bristling with prejudices and motivated by pride and vanity. Really think about that for a second. Pure logic rarely wins the day because pride and emotion are the ones actually in the driver's seat. Once we accept that reality, honestly, the entire game of human relations changes. Which brings us to Section 2, put down the beehive. So if people are deeply driven by emotion and pride, how on earth should we approach them when they mess up or disagree with us? Well, the rule is, if you want to gather honey, don't kick over the beehive. Sounds obvious, right? But kicking the beehive perfectly represents our totally natural impulsive instinct to criticize, condemn, or complain. But here's the thing, any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain. And frankly, most fools do. When we lash out with bitter criticism, we aren't changing minds. We are literally just kicking the hive and getting stung by the inevitable resentment that comes swarming out. It takes immense character and self-control to choose understanding and forgiveness instead. I really want you to ask yourself, why do we criticize? Honestly, is it to actually fix a problem, or is it just a knee-jerk reflex to make ourselves feel a little superior? The source material makes it super clear that criticism puts a person instantly on the defensive. It usually makes them strive to justify themselves. It wounds their precious pride and arouses deep resentment. We absolutely have to challenge our own impulsive reactions if we want to effectively influence anyone. And history perfectly demonstrates this. It shows us the destructive power of criticism versus the constructive power of self-control. Did you know bitter criticism actually caused the highly sensitive, brilliant novelist Thomas Hardy to give up writing fiction forever? It even drove the English poet Thomas Chatterton to suicide. It's devastating. But on the flip side, look at Benjamin Franklin. He was super tactless in his youth, but he became so diplomatic that he was made the American ambassador to France. His secret? He said, "I will speak ill of no man and speak all the good I know of everybody." Or take test pilot Bob Hoover. After a terrifying incident where both engines of his plane suddenly stopped midair, which he miraculously managed to land safely, he didn't erupt in rage at the mechanic. He responded with remarkable self-control and understanding. Criticism destroys potential, whereas understanding builds it. Moving right along to Section 3, the secret of appreciation. Now, if we take criticism entirely out of our toolkit, we're left with a bit of a void, right? We have to replace that negative impulse with something positive and incredibly powerful. And the crucial point is perfectly captured by philosopher William James. He said, the deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. Notice that word, craving. It's not just a passing wish or a nice to have, it is a deep, driving hunger. The source material points out that this urge is actually what differentiates humans from animals. It's the very foundation of civilization itself. Every single person you meet every day is absolutely starving for a feeling of importance and a recognition of their true worth.
But we need to draw a very, very sharp line here. We are not talking about flattery. King George V actually had a maxim pinned up in his study that read, "Teach me neither to proffer nor receive cheap praise." Flattery is fake, it's selfish, and it's basically just telling people what they already think of themselves. Sincere appreciation, on the other hand, is completely different. It's an honest, unselfish new way of life where we consciously stop spending 95% of our time thinking about ourselves and instead genuinely focus on the good points of the other person. It's a total game changer.
Section 4. Arouse an eager want. Okay, so if we understand that people are emotional and that they deeply crave appreciation, how do we actually get them to cooperate with us? We have to shift the focus entirely off of what we want and squarely onto what they want. The core psychological truth here is fascinating. The only way on earth to influence other people is to talk about what they want and show them exactly how to get it. Sure, you can force someone to give you their watch by sticking a revolver in their ribs. You can threaten an employee. But those crude methods have sharp, nasty repercussions. The only genuine, sustainable way to get someone to do anything is by giving them what they want. There's a quote by Owen D. Young that is just staggering in its simplicity. People who can put themselves in the place of other people, who can understand the workings of their minds, need never worry about what the future has in store for them. I mean, it seems so obvious that anyone should see it at a glance, right? Yet, the source text notes that 90% of people on this earth ignore this rule 90% of the time. That means if you actively practice seeing things from the other person's angle, you instantly have a massive, almost unfair competitive advantage in life. So how do we actually arouse this eager want in practice? First, we have to stop grabbing and self-seeking. The world is absolutely full of people doing that, so the rare individual who unselfishly tries to serve others stands out immediately. Second, always get the other person's point of view. Try to see the world through their eyes. And third, tap into their need for self-expression. When you have a brilliant idea, instead of forcing it down their throat, let them cook and stir the idea themselves. If they feel ownership over it, they will absolutely champion it. Finally, Section 5. 3 daily practical applications. We have covered a tremendous amount of ground today, looking at these historical secrets of human engineering, but as the author reminds us, the great aim of education isn't just knowledge, it's action. So let's translate these high-level principles into a super simple daily routine you can start tomorrow. Step 1, your morning check-in. When you feel that very first urge of the day to complain or condemn, whether someone cuts you off in traffic or a coworker drops the ball, just pause. Put down the beehive. Step 2, your midday interaction. Find one person and give them honest, sincere appreciation. No cheap flattery, just genuine recognition of their worth. And step 3, your evening reflection. Look at the tasks or favors you need to ask for tomorrow and figure out how to frame your request entirely around what the other person wants. Let them cook the idea.
Which brings us to our final challenge for you. Look at your very next interaction today, whether it's with a colleague, your spouse, or a customer. Ask yourself, are you stubbornly trying to deal with a creature of logic, or are you remembering to speak to a creature of emotion? Mastering that single distinction is the true shortcut to mastering human relations. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I highly encourage you to step out into the real world today and test this toolkit for yourself.